Prompt. A greedy milkman walking proudly with 10 heavy milk pots balanced on a wooden stick, wearing traditional dhoti, heading towards a large town, crossing fields, villagers watching him with admiration, early morning sunlight, cinematic style. Days turned into weeks, and the whispers about Mr. Kamal's proposal spread quickly in Aisha's neighborhood. Her relatives began visiting more often, their eyes shining with excitement at the thought of her becoming the wife of a rich businessman. Aisha, her aunt said one evening, sipping tea, this is a golden chance. Girls wait their whole lives for such proposals. Comfort, status, money, what more could you ask for? Her uncle added firmly, you are a good daughter, but teaching in a small school won't change your family's future. If you marry Kamal, your parents will live like kings, your siblings will study in the best schools, and you will never know hardship again. Her mother sat quietly, but her eyes betrayed hope. She wanted the best for her daughter, yet she also worried about the struggles of daily life, the bills, the medicines, the endless expenses. Aisha listened, her heart pulling her in two directions. When she thought of Mr. Kamal, she saw glittering jewels, big houses, and a life where nothing was missing, except, perhaps, love. When she thought of Danish, she remembered his warm smile, his sincere prayers, and the little canvas he had given her. That night, Mr. Kamal himself visited again. He arrived in a brand new car, its headlights glowing in the dark street. Bringing gifts of sweets, perfumes, and an expensive shawl, he placed them in front of Aisha's family. You deserve the world, Aisha, he said smoothly, his eyes filled with pride. Say yes, and all of this will be yours. No more worries, no more struggles. Money is the answer to every problem. Her mother looked at her, silently urging her to agree. Her siblings' faces lit up at the sight of the gifts. The entire house seemed swayed by the power of wealth. But Aisha's heart was uneasy. As she held the shawl in her hands, she felt its silkiness but also its emptiness. She asked herself, what is the use of luxury if the heart feels alone? That night, sleep refused to come. She kept hearing two voices in her mind, one telling her to choose wealth and security, the other whispering of love, trust, and sincerity. For the first time in her life, Aisha realized how difficult it was to choose between the shine of gold and the glow of a pure heart. The next morning, Aisha left for school with her thoughts still tangled in Mr. Kamal's proposal. The promise of riches sounded tempting, yet her heart felt restless. On her way, she passed by the town square, where small stalls lined the streets. Among them sat Danish, the poor artist. Danish was known for his talent in painting. His stall was modest. A wooden table with brushes, a few jars of paint, and several colorful canvases resting against the wall. Children often gathered around him, watching as his hands moved swiftly, bringing life to blank paper. Though he earned very little, there was always a quiet joy in his eyes. Aisha Baji, a little girl called out, waving one of Danish's painted flowers. See what he made for me, it's so pretty. Aisha smiled warmly. She walked closer, and Danish looked up. His clothes were simple, a little worn from hard work, but his face lit up with sincerity when he saw her. Good morning, Miss Aisha, he greeted respectfully, brushing the paint off his hands. You always pass by with books in your hand, you remind me of light in this dull street. Aisha laughed softly. And you, Danish, you bring color into it. They talked briefly. Danish asked about her students, about her family, about her own well-being. Unlike Mr. Kamal's grand speeches of money, Danish's words carried concern and kindness. When Aisha mentioned her father's health, Danish's expression grew serious. May Allah give him shifa, he said sincerely. If there's anything I can do, even in my small way, please let me know. Aisha felt a strange comfort in his presence. Though Danish had no fortune, no car, no mansion, he had something Mr. Kamal lacked: gentleness, respect, and genuine care. Before leaving, Danish handed her a small canvas. It was a painting of a blooming tree, with sunlight breaking through its branches. For you, he said softly. Whenever life feels heavy, remember that after every storm, light always returns. Aisha carried the painting home, her heart lighter than before. For the first time, she realized that happiness was not always measured in gold, it could also be found in the little things, like a painting made with love. That night, she placed the canvas on her bedside table. And as she looked at it, she whispered to herself, maybe money can buy a house, but love builds a home. The confusion in Aisha's heart deepened with each passing day. Mr. Kamal's promises of wealth sparkled before her like a golden dream, while Danish's sincerity whispered softly like a gentle breeze. She still hadn't made her decision, until one night, life tested her in a way she never expected. Her father, who had been unwell for months, suddenly collapsed with severe pain. The entire family panicked. Aisha rushed to his side, her hands trembling. Abu, please open your eyes," she cried. Her mother wept, and her siblings clung to each other in fear. The local doctor examined him and said gravely, "He needs proper treatment in the city hospital immediately. Without it, I cannot guarantee his recovery." But the treatment cost was more than what Aisha could afford. Her mother's eyes filled with despair. "Where will we get so much money? We don't even have enough savings for next month's expenses." That evening, Mr. Kamal came to know about the situation. He arrived confidently, his car's headlights shining into their courtyard. With a half smile, he said, "Don't worry, Aisha. I can take care of everything, your father's treatment, the hospital bills, everything. But," he paused, his eyes sharp, "you must promise to marry me. Give me your word tonight, and your father will be saved." The room fell silent. Aisha's mother looked torn, her eyes darting between her daughter and Mr. Kamal. "Aisha, maybe this is Allah's way of showing us the path. If saying yes will save your father, maybe you should." Her voice broke with helplessness. Aisha's heart ached. Could love for her father's life force her into a marriage without love? She felt trapped between duty and desire, between her father's health and her own happiness. Just as tears welled in her eyes, a knock sounded at the door. Danish entered, his clothes messy, his face tired but determined. In his hands, he held a small bundle of cash. "I heard about Uncle," he said quickly. "Here, it's not much, but I sold all my paintings today and borrowed from some friends. It should be enough to start his treatment. Don't worry, Aisha, we'll find a way together." Aisha froze. Danish, who had so little, had given away everything without expecting anything in return. Mr. Kamal, with all his riches, demanded her hand before he would even consider helping. Her eyes filled with tears, not of sadness, but of clarity. For the first time, she truly saw the difference between love and money. As her father was rushed to the hospital with Danish by her side, Aisha whispered in her heart, "True love sacrifices while false love bargains. Now I know where my heart belongs." The night at the hospital was long and heavy. Aisha sat beside her father's bed, watching the monitors beep steadily. Danish stayed outside, pacing the corridor, his hands stained with paint and worry. He hadn't left since they brought her father in, even though he was exhausted. By morning, the doctor approached Aisha with a smile. "Your father is stable now. He will recover with proper care." Relief washed over her like a wave, and she whispered a prayer of thanks. When she stepped outside, she found Danish sitting on a bench, half asleep, his head resting against the wall. He looked worn out, but the moment he saw her, he stood up quickly. "How is Uncle? Is he okay?" he asked, his eyes full of concern. Aisha felt her heart swell. Here was a man who had nothing but gave everything, who asked for no reward except her family's well-being. She compared him silently with Mr. Kamal, who had used her father's life as a condition for marriage. In that instant, her choice became clear. A few days later, Mr. Kamal returned, still confident. "So, Aisha," he said smoothly, "have you thought about my offer? I trust you've realized money is the only answer to your troubles." Aisha looked at him with calm determination. "Mr. Kamal, you were ready to bargain with my father's life. That is not love, that is business. I cannot sell my heart for gold. I choose the one who stood by me when I had nothing, the one whose love needs no price." Mr. Kamal's smile faded, anger flashed in his eyes, but he left without another word, his footsteps echoing against the floor. Not long after, Aisha's family prepared for a small but joyful wedding. There were no glittering chandeliers, no rows of luxury cars, only flowers, laughter, and the warmth of loved ones. Danish arrived in a simple sherwani, his eyes shining brighter than any jewel. As Aisha walked toward him, her father, still weak but smiling, whispered, "You made the right choice, my daughter. Money may ease life, but only love gives it meaning." Hand in hand, Aisha and Danish began their new journey. Their home was modest, their days filled with challenges, but every struggle was shared, every burden lightened by their bond. The little painting of the blooming tree still hung on their wall, reminding them that after every storm, light always returns. And in that small home, filled with love, respect, and sincerity, Aisha realized she was richer than she could have ever been in Mr. Kamal's mansion.